Dude, let's go. But look, hey, like we said, we are starting early. The day games start in less than 2 hours. In less than 2 hours at noon, we're going to dive into them, give you a little feedback on some of these games, talking about it, and I'm going to go over them real quick. Western Kentucky versus Austin P is the noon game, the very start in Dublin. Nebraska plays Northwestern, game that everybody's really excited to see. UNLV plays Idaho State at 3:30. UConn and Utah State at 4. Wyoming and Illinois also at 4, and Duquesne and Florida State at 5. And we do have somebody special that I definitely want to bring in here at some point to talk about his team and if they might storm the field because they're barely favored over Duquesne. But we'll talk about that. My God, Mr. Ben Cornett. But look, we're going to dive into it, and we're going to start with that first game, Western Kentucky versus Austin P. Western Kentucky, led by Tyson Helton, the fourth-year coach, went 9-5 a year ago, won 8 of their last 9 games, and went to the Conference USA title berth. They ended up beating App State in the Boca Raton Bowl. We know about their quarterback, Bailey Zappi. He's going on. He's played with the Patriots. Guy threw for almost 6,000 yards, over 60 touchdowns, only 11 picks. Almost 70% completion percentage. I mean, this guy was throwing all over the field a year ago, holds all the major records over there. So we know they lost a substantial amount of offense, but they got a guy that's a 3-year starter named Austin Reed. He played at West Florida, so that is a D2 school. But in 2019, he was able to lead them to an FCS title, a national championship. So this guy has been in there. He knows what it's like. He's already talked about in some of the interviews. He's not chasing Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi has one of the best, careers in college football. He said he's staying within himself. He's doing whatever he can do. And he knows that they're known for passing, but he says he can watch out for that running game. On the flip side, you got Austin P, who was an FCS team that has moved over to the FBS. They were in the Ohio Valley, and now they're in the Atlantic Sun. Went only 6-5 last year under third-year coach Scotty Walden. But they won the last 4 out of the last 5. They lost several starters, but they got some made receivers. One definitely Dre McCrary, over 50 catches, just under 1,000 yards, receiving and 8 touchdowns. They're known for their defense. They got ball hawks led by all Atlantic Sun honor preseason honor Shamari Simmons, who is balling out at safety, 50 tackles, 4 interceptions, 10 pass breakups a year ago. Yeah. All intents and purposes, this should be a blowout. Western Kentucky is favored by almost 22 points, okay? But the over-under for this is 67.5. But I'm thinking that's more Western Kentucky running up the score than it is Austin.
That seems kind of low to me.
yeah, you know what I mean? So we're going to see what happens. Obviously, they're factoring in the fact that, you have so much offense that left Western Kentucky and Bailey Zappi, so they might need to reset, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. They've played this matchup since 1940, but Western Kentucky's 35-6-1. And their last matchup in 2012, Western Kentucky whooped them 49-10. So I'm not expecting Austin P to show up today, but I do want to see if they can at least run with Western Kentucky. This is probably the worst Western Kentucky you're going to have, and the worst has been in the last several years. So I want to see if they can show up and do something. We'll see what happens today, but it don't matter because college football is back. So yes, buddy. But moving on down the list, after we see that one, obviously we talked about North Nebraska and Northwestern last week, but UNLV and Idaho State. UNLV is in a little transition there. They're dealing with something too. Talk to me, Kate. What do you think?
Well, the game is at UNLV, and UNLV is highly favored to win this game. They have Marcus Arroyo as their head coach. UNLV is 24-30 all time in its season openers, 19-10 when they're at home. But they only had a 2-10 record last season. Didn't go to any bowl games. Just the 7th time these two teams will be meeting. And UNLV, the last time they played, won 80-8. 80-8 in the win over the Bengals in 2015. So it's been 7 years since they've played played each other. But Tennessee transfer Harrison Bailey is expected to be their quarterback this season for the Rebels. He saw action in one game a year ago. His freshman year, he saw action in 6 games. He was 48 for 68 in passing, 70.6 passer rating, for 578 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So they don't have a lot of seasoned playing ability yet, but they're getting there. Defensively, the Rebels have a senior inside linebacker in Austin Ajaike, who missed the final 4 games last year due to injury, but he is supposedly supposed to be their very best defensive player. He's back. He will lead the Rebels with coming back from that injury. He finished second on the team with tackles, with 74 tackles, 43 of those solo, with 1 pass breakup. Best performance was 18 tackles, and against who? The team they're playing.
Wow.
So
there it is.
Anyway, he should lead their defense and do very well for them. Idaho State, who on the other hand, led by Charlie Rangel, they have 2 head coaches actually. They have Mike Kramer as well, but they were 1-10 last year. No bowl games. Missed a few games due to COVID last year. So they weren't able to play. So anyway, the Bengals have an experienced play caller and Tyler Vanderwall. He was redshirted his freshman season. He started the first 8 games of his 2018 season. And the last game of that season, he led his team to 4 wins and with 1,310 yards, 5 TDs. And that was when he played for Wyoming. He transferred to Idaho State in 2020, completed 116 for 215 passes for 54% passer rating for 1,838 yards, 12 touchdowns, 10 interceptions though, but he was also injured last season. So, but he is their best chance at quarterback. So it might be a tough game for Idaho State, knowing they don't have a very strong leader at offense, but he's their strongest. They do have redshirt sophomore Raiden Hunter, who should be their starting running back. Last season, he carried for 66 times for only 240 yards, 3.6 yards per carry. In 3 seasons with the Bengals, Hunter has rushed for 117 times for 441 yards, 3.8 yards per carry. And then one of his best touchdowns and best games was against Cal Poly, carried for 13 times for 65 yards, 5 yards per carry, and caught for 2 passes and 6 yards. But these 2 teams are not so equally matched because UNLV has always been the more favored team to win this game. Should be exciting to see how they do. They both have gone through a lot with transfers, portal, everything else, losing players. They've had a lot of injuries in prior seasons with their star players. So we'll see. But I'm excited to see what happens with this game. Should be a good game. And I do feel like UNLV has the edge since they won 80-8 in their last match.
That's
brutal.
That's tough.
That's rough. Yeah. We might see some of those type of scores this weekend with some of these games, and this one might be one of those games because that's just 80-8. Good.
Can you imagine having to play 4 quarters of football? And you only get 8 points.
Yeah,
and this team is just steamrolling you. Probably has like the C team out by the second half.
Yeah, I'm like, what was the score at halftime? You know what I mean? Like 50-0. Right? Like, you got to make a decision. We're coming out the locker room on this or what?
Yeah, right. That a slaughter rule? I mean,
right. You know?
Right.
They put the water boy in for real. Like, the cowboy, water boy.
They need to. Come on, guy. Come on. You might as well get in here. You know, we'll put you on scholarship. Just like
exactly. That
is yeah, right. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. But hey, we will see. And that, that's the 3:30 game. Thank you very much for that, Kate. UNLV and Idaho State. Next is the UConn Utah State at 4:00. Wyoming and Illinois is also at 4K. Previewed that one a week ago. Illinois, looking for them to bounce back, but in Wyoming, the same thing. But Wyoming, both of them lost key players, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of team they both are able to try it out this year. But Colin, I'm gonna come to you for the 5 o'clock game, Duquesne versus Florida State. Mike Norvell, they say he's on the hot seat a little bit, man. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, he's been there. He's trying to provide or try to create some kind of culture there at FSU. But he's only had 8 wins in the 2 seasons that he's been there. And fun fact, FSU hasn't won a season opener since they beat Ole Miss in 2016. So they haven't won there. But what's different between them playing Duquesne this year and other games prior is that they've always played like a ranked opponent. This is the first year they haven't played a ranked opponent in Duquesne. But like I said, Novell may be on the hot seat, but he's trying to provide or try to create a culture there at FSU, and I can see the difference in years past. I think they're going to be better this year because of him. But they have 2 new starters on the O line, Bless Harris, and they got a graduate transfer, Dimitri Emmanuel. They have their defense. They have they have a very good linebacker in Tatum Bethune. He's a junior, and a redshirt sophomore Jared Verse, a defensive end that they're bringing back. They have some transfers that Micah Pittman coming from Oregon. He's the three wide receivers that Jordan Travis is going to have severe. They're going to be great weapons for him. You have a receiver Micah Pittman from Oregon. You have Johnny Wilson from Arizona State, and you have Deuce Spann from Illinois. So and also and wide receiver for Johnny Wilson. Fun thing is he's 6'7", and the average height on the Duquesne defense is 5'9" to 6'3". So he's gonna
just throw it up. Just throw it up.
Yeah, exactly. Jump ball.
Right.
But and just I have just a little bit to share with Duquesne. They have an Oregon transfer in Trey Benson, which may help their backfield a little bit, and then. But unfortunately he'll split time with Trayshawn Ward and Lawrence. I'm not sure how you say his name. Toafili. But they were averaging 124 yards per game, I guess. But yeah, I think it's going to be a blowout. Just from FSU's standpoint, from against Duquesne. But yeah, hopefully he's Novell's not on the hot seat. Maybe he'll put something together for this season. I'm interested
to see what happens this week. We all know what happened a year ago against Jacksonville State. Sorry, Ben. It was ugly, but I did not know that they had not won a season opener until 2016.
That's crazy.
It was Ole Miss, and so they had the Jacksonville State game won at halftime, and then they had a 10-point lead, and then they let them come back to the second half, and they won. Jacksonville State won 2017. So
that's a daggone shame, man.
That's a dagger in the heart, dude. It's just like the losers to Jacksonville State. Right.
Well,
being FSU, being Free Shoes University, that's what we call them down there.
They were absolutely, and it's crazy to say they were, but I mean, obviously, growing up, and we all know the year 1 in 2000 against Vic and Virginia Tech. We know about the Jameis years and everything like that. But wow, it's just it's crazy to see kind of how far they've, I guess, fallen in just the eyes of people. But I gotta this touches the soul of one of the people that we have coming on here, and I got to bring him on. Did a little live last night. He's been doing them recently, and I love hopping on there and talking a little bit, hopping in the comments, talking with him. This man is a Florida State fan, and I'm just gonna let him talk his stuff. Man, my guy, Mr. Ben Cornett. What up, Ben?
Hey, Ben.
Hey, you know what? Since you said all that stuff a couple minutes ago, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Let's go. Tar Heels, ACC, baby. Yo, talk to me, Ben. What's going on, man? Like, this should be a game where in the past, this was okay. This is 45-0 at halftime. We're bringing in our second and third team. You know what I mean? Like, this is the game you bring your recruits to because it's going to be so big. But like you mentioned to me yesterday, you guys aren't favored by that much.
Well, we're a little bit. I was kidding on that, but this is
not as much as you should be.
Right. I think this is the game where you want the recruits to say, you know what, we'll bring you back for our next home game. Let's not, let's not bring you in just yet.
Right.
No, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, you guys said it earlier. It's been not the best few years, obviously since Jimbo left. We've gone through guys like Willie Taggart now, Norvell. So, and he's trying to bring a culture there. Bring it back a little bit, but like anything, guys, this takes time. And Willie Taggart didn't have the time, although I didn't think he was the best fit there. No. But you get rid of him early, and then now you bring in Norvell. 2020 COVID year, ironically, a lot of coaches have gone through that, so that's not as big of an excuse. But still, it's very tough with recruiting or lack of recruiting, because you can't. In 2020, you couldn't go to kids' homes and stuff because of the Zoom outbreak and stuff. So it's made it. He hasn't had the easiest start, but at the same time, there's that expectation, at Florida State. It's one of those things where we never really been at the bottom. You know what I mean? We've always been pretty much high,
milling up.
And so unfortunately, a lot of fans expect that. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't gone through the trials and tribulations of being at the bottom, then working yourself back up to the top, and the thing is, I preach this to a lot of fans, you got to be a little patient. We can't keep getting, hiring and firing coaches, because you're never going to build that foundation. You're just going to go, just start all over again. And it just never works. So we got to give Norvell some time. But I will say that this year he does have kind of a favorable schedule. A lot of games at home against Clemson, Florida, Wake Forest. Those can be games we can win. That's possible. But again, unless he has a real bad year, if we're talking like 4-8 or 5-7, I could see a change. Unfortunately, maybe not, all his fault, but at the same time, the expectations there, fair or not, are always going to be high.
And,
absolutely.
Not to cut you about just a question that relates to your point. It's hard to see these coaches going in and for these teams and building, the relationship and building this kind of favorable, environment for these kids, and then take off. Just kind of when they get there, they just take off. And they expect us. We're fans, right? We have no.
Portal's brutal.
Yeah, we're always fans, right? But we, like you said, we feel some type of way about, always being at the top. But then whenever you see a team that knock back a little bit, and then you see a coach go in and try to fix what's wrong and actually have progress, then the money comes into factor, maybe, or something, some kind of situation happened, and they're gone. And it's not fair to the kids. It's just it's a sucky situation.
Ask Travis Hunter that.
I know all about rebuilding. I had Lloyd Carr dealt with Rich Rod and Brady Hoke, and now we're back to glory more with Harbaugh. So Michigan's gone through those ebbs and flows in the last few years. So, but we're trying to get on top.
Let's be very honest. There's only one team in this 4 set that's really gone through not being called not a football school. And that's right here. All right. Shout out to my guy, Mac Brown, who has brought us back and has given us such a resurgence. But there were some years where it's just like, is it college basketball season yet? Like, I'm just.
That's how I felt under Hoke and Rich Rod. I'm like, can we go to basketball? Can we just skip this?
Hey, listen, Sean, that was probably the best thing for your football program, was to bring Mac Brown in, because he brought that experience, and also that legacy, This is the same guy that was coaching Vince Young and that Texas team that won probably the greatest college football game in history.
Right.
So that was a great hire. It really is. It was a great hire.
And I loved him. He coached for us from 88 to, I believe, 97 before he went to Texas. I didn't even know that. And then he came back after a couple years after he had been in Texas. We all know about the 05 team. So you're absolutely right. Anthony Haney's in the comments. Oh snap! You brought troublemaker number 1 Ben on the show. Yeah, buddy. You already know. So this is going to be interesting. To be honest, I think we all kind of are in agreement that Florida State's going to win this game. Duquesne is what you call not a looker. I don't like, Colin, shout out to you for giving us that little insight, but I'm seeing Florida State handily. Get it? Handy. Win this game. But there we go, Anthony. I got a little humor in here. Let's go. I definitely see them winning this. We're going to keep you on here, Ben, because we did want to move quickly onto this. Nevada, New Mexico State. I talked about this a week ago. Nevada lost their star quarterback, Carson Strong. They lost one of their solid tight ends, Cole Turner. He came to Washington. So a number of pieces they lost. New Mexico State, on the other hand, is another one of these teams in transition, not really expected to do much. But, I mean, again, you never know in this type of game. Have any of y'all paid attention to this one at all? I mean,
not really. I mean, like you said, they lost Carson Strong for Nevada. So they brought in a new quarterback transfer. And, they're in the Mountain West, same conference as UNLV, as Kate mentioned a few minutes ago. I live here in Vegas, so I know
nice.
UNLV. We got I think a week before today, we didn't know who the quarterback was going to be for UNLV.
Yeah.
They were going with two guys because they were both, I think, having some pretty good training camps. And Arroyo, this is real quick on UNLV. This is a kind of a big year for him. He's another one. He needs time.
Yeah.
But for UNLV, the pressure's on, because he's only won 2 games in 2 years. And,
after the Tate Martell experiment.
Yeah, It's been tough. But as far as Nevada, New Mexico State, I'll be watching a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's fun. I watch all the games too. I just got to get used to the rosters and stuff. I'm so indebted into Florida State right now, and some SEC, ACC teams, and some Pac-12 teams too. That it's going to take me a minute to get used to, because I got to watch the games and see how they do it.
And look, like Colin was talking to me about last night, all the analytics, all the stuff we do in the off season is great, but as soon as they hit those first pads crunch against each other, as soon as the first whistle, the first flag, the first touchdown, okay, now I got something I can go on. Now I can, you know what I mean? I see what's going on. Colin, you had something to say?
Well, I was going to say that just an interesting note that when I was looking at the Vanderbilt-Hawaii game is that Nevada actually has I believe it is the fewest returning players on any college team. And the reason I know that is Hawaii is actually second to the fewest. So, I mean, it's Hawaii, then Nevada. So that was just an interesting tidbit I found while, looking at this Vanderbilt game. So it's gotta be tough.
That's rebuilding.
That's
Hawaii lost a lot.
Definitely
rebuilding. Oh yeah. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely want to bring you the early games, and those are the games that will be coming on within the next 2 hours. In fact, less than 90 minutes. These games will be starting. College football is back. We are here to bring you that intro into the season. Welcome to Let's Talk College Football, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.